Good morning, precious. What are you doing?
Not much.
Oh, I wish you were laying here next to me. I would be able to kiss your beautiful face.
Lorne. Fuck off upstairs.
He's the one that touched Caffrey, the Italian sausage making cocksucker.
How dare you? Who is called sucker?
Caffrey, the Italian sausage making cocksucker. And you handled it well.
Does not mean silly approach you out. I'm talking to you now. Yes, bro.
I'm on your blow, you said Chef I talked to Chef today. That's what you said yesterday.
We made sausage together, approach you out. Approach you out.
You're not fucking dead!
Fuck off upstairs.
Fuck no! Caffrey, the Italian sausage making cocksucker.
How dare you? Who is called sucker?
Caffrey, the Italian sausage making cocksucker. And you handled it well. Isn't that funny? How he wanted to teach you how to make Italian sausage. Cause you look like a big fucking cock. What a coincidence. Big fucking cock. Don't take his Italian sausage and stick it up his old ass. I'm fucking tired of your bullshit. I'm having to fucking spend time trying to get here and there with all these motherfuckers. You don't want to sit down with me. Fuck you.
Hello.
I'm here.
Are you crying?
No,
Are you crying?
What the fuck does it matter? You want to spend time with this cocksucker? You go right ahead.
Lord.
What?
Go get a condom.
No. Jamie, I want to fucking marry you. Will you marry me?
No. Are you crying?
Give me a minute, okay? I'm trying not to break down. I gotta try to get together myself. Honeymoon.
Fuck off upstairs.
He's the one that touched the oil! Caffrey, the Italian sausage making cocksucker.
How dare you? Who is called sucker?
Caffrey, the Italian sausage making cocksucker. And you handled it well. Caffrey, the Italian sausage making cocksucker. Bonjour, the fucking ass. Caffrey, the Italian sausage making cocksucker. And you handled it well.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the stream. So, with me as last week is my good friend Rear Comedy.
Hey, buongiorno, paisan. How's everybody
Buongiorno.
doing?
Sorry, everybody, we were a little late. We were hashing out Rear's contract. He wanted a 12 rack of Bud Light, but we came to an amicable agreement that we will not disclose the details. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So,
7.
how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. I was enjoying. I was hanging out in Ras Vavioli's stream. Help getting her mad by telling her what Lorne has been up to, and she was on fire. So we were having a good time.
Yeah, she wasn't taking any prisoners today.
Nope. Real quick, why don't I just say hello before a ton of people show up? Asbury Brad, the Cornville Nightmare, one of those weirdos. Thanks, Ann. Winnie's Stupid Bullshit, the Ghost of Tony Farmer. What's up, buddy? Bunny, George Glass, Zabreem, Cyber Squeak, was you. Cornhole Three-Way, Honest, Catchy. Medium Syllables, I already said hi to one of those viewers, but hello. Kitty Velociraptor, Lorne's Empty Beer Can, The Big Guy, La Senorita, Egbert Mandingo, Egbert Mandingo, Egbert Mandingo, Renegade, Da Baby Life. Oh, did I miss him yet? I don't know. There we go. Floppy Fun Bogan, Pam Simpson, Jason S., and my new favorite name, Lorne Lynn Tang Strong. So thank you, Sean French, for changing your name. Salty Robot. Lethal Brownie, what's up? And Craigo, what's up, man? And I think that's it for right. Lorenzix, nope. Lorenzix Fowl, Pussy Destroyer, Eileen Clayman. The False in Our Stars. The False in Our Stars. One lucky of a guy. And call Emma. There's Ma'am Yes Ma'am. Ma'am Yes Ma'am, it's so nice to have you back. Ma'am Yes Ma'am sent me an email yesterday that they were on a Lorne break, and they've returned, and they sent me a picture of their new rescue dog, Thelma. So that's her in her little raincoat. So.
Oh, that's adorable.
So she thought that she was just giving Thelma a home to, have a little bit of peace before she went, but she's rebounded and she's having a great time. So I'm happy to hear that, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome.
So to do a complete 180 from something nice, now we're going to read Lorne's prison journal.
Do you want to summarize what happened previously? Previously on
Lorne, he had a lot of repressed homosexuality. That's basically all you need to know. It's all his journal has been so far is just him detailing the homosexual acts of everybody else in the prison. And I think there's a bit of jealousy in the writing.
Yeah, Lorne's not getting any in prison.
No, he's a little upset. But no, yeah, he's basically just tattling on whatever anybody does the whole time. And he said this, I think, 3 times so far, where he's upset that he's being charged federally and at the state level because that's double jeopardy, which it isn't, but Lorne sure thinks it is because, he read a book.
Yeah, his misunderstandings of the legal system will never cease to amaze me.
Right. So yeah, Lorne is a snitch. He was shitting on people for stealing, and then he writes how he doesn't say steal. He writes how he found a roll of toilet paper in the bathroom, and then he hid it under his.
Concealed it.
Right. He didn't steal it. He just hid it under his shirt so nobody saw him take it back to his cell. Yeah, if you didn't steal it, you definitely didn't have to conceal it on your person, Lorne. So we're about halfway through, so I think there's in total 53 pages, so we're at page 30, so we just ended, and I hope at some point, maybe if Blue Boy's here, there's a new picture he can send me or something, because last stream ended with a bang, so
that's right.
I did just upload the clip, so it's the newest video. It's the newest video on my page where it's me and Eel Reark laughing at Lorne's date night, photos. So,
a lot's happened in the past week in the Lorne world. We got those 2 Casey calls. We got all those pictures of him dressing nicely and at the outlet mall or wherever he got his new outfit. I mean, what a crazy week.
Let me ask you this: those pictures of him at Goodwill. Did Roy take them, or did he make the worker take those pictures of him?
I think he made the worker take them.
I think
he walked in, he was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and my girlfriend wants a picture. Right. He was just dying to say, my girlfriend wants a picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like when he's at work, like those calls with Winnie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's at work and he's doing that shit, like...
100%.
So anyway, those are great. And then, the... Blue Boy, speaking of, praising Blue Boy about those Casey calls, what a way to end on a cliffhanger on that first one. Lorne, are you a virgin?
Yeah,
and then it just cuts off. I was like,
you knew he was going to say no, but, I felt like maybe there'd be something there.
Well, we know that it's a lie because instead of immediately answering, he just goes, jeez, Lord. Like, he just starts laughing because he doesn't.
At the end of the call, at the end of the call, he does the all, well, I believe me, Jesus believes me, and that's all that matters. Like,
Yeah,
fuck
he's
you,
like
dude.
weirdly
You
religious.
start with that
Right.
if you're telling the truth, dude.
Right,
You
right.
don't end with that.
Right. If you're pulling a Dustin McFetrich and starting with "I'm being honest," you usually aren't being honest. So.
It's a lie. Yeah.
Hey, Amanda James. So why don't we go ahead and crack on in this? So I'll start. So this, it might be hard to see on stream, but he wrote a big paragraph, but then decided to cross it out, and I don't know why. But I'm going to read it for you. So I've been writing this book almost all the time I've been here, and to be honest, I feel like I'm repeating myself with the stupid things that happen in here. You don't say, Lorne. Each chapter has been the exact same thing over and over again. I may write a book and name it Camp for when I get out of here and go to prison camp, which will be soon. But for now, I think I have to bring this book to a conclusion. Before I bring this book to an end, he just again he talked about how he repeats himself and then repeated himself immediately after. Before I bring this book to an end, I've decided I'm going to tell the reason I'm in this situation and discuss it a little. My final court date is... Okay, let's see if he finally tells us, because that's another thing from the first half of this. He won't tell the reader why he's in prison, but he's upset that he's in prison. But we don't get any context of, was he falsely accused? What was his crimes? He won't tell the reader that until the end, because
I'd also like to point out, he's going to get to the end of the book. This is the beginning of our second stream where we started halfway through. Just in case you don't think that he's telling the truth right here. There's some evidence for you.
My final court date is August 18th for my final sentencing for the state. I have already had my final sentencing for my federal charge. If you're not catching on to what I just said, that I have been charged basically twice for the same crime. The only difference is that they gave it a different name on the federal end and added traveling and interstate commerce. That's a big fucking deal, Lord. You drove across state lines.
Crimes.
Right, they're separate crimes.
What the fuck don't you get about this?
I murdered a guy and stole, but all they did was name the other crime murder, but I'm being charged for stealing twice. Like, all they did was add a completely different name. Traveling and interstate commerce. You drove across state lines to kidnap a young child. No shit, you get charged federally.
Completely separate thing. He does not understand that. It's an enigma.
The only difference is they gave it a different name on the federal end and added traveling interstate commerce, i.e. crossing state lines. Thank you, Lauren. I wouldn't have understood what that meant without you adding that i.e. Now, you would think that when the feds pick it up, the state would drop it, which they probably would have if it were any other state besides Kentucky. I think in this... Oh, okay. I remember this part. So in the text that I'm reading, they have it written correctly, but if you look at his page that he writes, he says, probably if there were any other state besides Warren County. So he says any other state and then names the county and then crosses it out and writes in Kentucky. I was told by one of the inmates that live here that the motto for this place is come here on vacation, leave on probation, and come back on violation. Not exactly a reputation that a city would strive for when trying to attract tourism. Yeah, that big tourism hub, Warren County, Kentucky. You know,
right.
Everybody goes there on their fucking honeymoons. Well, anyway, from what I've seen and heard since I've been here is that the officials in this city strive for power and recognition any way that they can possibly get it. Good or bad, one of those ways is what landed me here at the Warren County Regional Jail. For those of you that have never heard of the MSNBC Dateline show To Catch a Predator, they're a reality television show that attempts to catch online predators. That's the reason I'm in jail. The thing that irks the hell out of me is that some people...
I'd like to point out, he thinks that this book, this memoir of his, is going to be so big that, like, people are reading this, but they don't know about To Catch a Predator, that small little show that was, like, a sensation for a few years in the mid-2000s.
His book
But they know about
bigger.
this pedophile's book.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that irks the hell out of me is that some people on this show are made out to be something they are not. The good thing about America is the freedom of speech. The bad thing about America is that the decision of guilty or not guilty can be bought by what the media decides should be seen by the public and what should not be seen by the public. So what Lorne is trying to say is that him grooming a 13-year-old girl for a month is covered under the First Amendment of free speech because he's saying those things. So
Right.
chew on that, everybody.
And then made actions to complete them, and then did illegal things in the process. But that's, it would have been clever if he was like, the good thing about America is the freedom of speech. The bad thing about America is the freedom of speech. That would have been mildly clever, Lorne, and then they've gone on about that. But no, he says it in the stupidest fucking way possible.
Right. Now, unfortunately, the media strives to bring out the worst in people because that's what sells. They think that people want to hear disgusting things regardless of if it's the truth or a lie, and regardless of how circumstances come about. The way I was raised was to be honest and tell the truth. Well, sometimes the truth may hurt, but at least it won't come back to bite you in the keister later. Something MSN...
Oh my god. I just read Cyber Squeak's message. Floor drove. That's great.
Well, you have to read that like how Cybersqueak would say it. So it's I bet Lorne didn't even wash those clothes before he put them in his floor robe. So
floor drove.
Something MSNBC datelines to catch a he says it. He writes it out. MSNBC datelines just say to catch a predator. You don't have to add.
And if this isn't your final version, just go TCAP.
Right.
Like just make an acronym for it, dumbass.
MSNBC's Datelines to Catch a Predator and its host Chris Hansen and their affiliates Perverted Justice. So he runs down the list, everybody he has a vendetta against, should have thought about when they started doing this show. Their way of thinking is that they can do and put anything they want on television and America will believe anything they say. They never expected someone would write a book telling them about their disgusting tactic that they use just to get people on the show so their ratings would go up. Okay, at this point, that DA had already shot himself in the head. So people know what they did. So you're not blowing the door off of any sneaky tactics, Lorne.
And moreover, he acts like writing a prison memoir is like, they never expected someone like me would get into their thing. Like, you're writing things down on pen and paper. It's not this epic tale of like ingenuity and planning that you're systematically taking them down from the you're just writing shit, and it's not even anything yet. It's about stealing toilet paper. What the fuck?
Right. It's just the gay axe and toilet. That should have been the memoir. Right. Gay axe and toilet paper would be a better title for this book. Oh my god! I just saw what he's gonna say down here at the bottom. I can't wait to get to it. They never expected somebody would write a book telling about the disgusting tactics they use to get people on the show, so their ratings will go up, so they can make a dishonest dollar from American citizens. How about that dishonest $30,000 you made, Lorne? Something else that American citizens don't realize is the amount of tax dollars this show causes the federal government to use on arresting, incarcerating, food, extra paperwork, court costs, public defenders, probation, parole, transportation, closing classes, and electricity. Yeah, that's their fucking job. And
imagine how many tax dollars you've been wasting in 10 years of failing this class, getting counseling, having to do it again, going back through it, having house visits, having people take time out of their day to you call them about your fake girlfriends. Imagine how much tax money you've wasted, you fucking idiot.
And
another paper clothes, blah blah blah. Fuck you.
And I like how it's electricity. He puts in electricity like no shit. But he had already before the sting, he had already groomed a child, so he was already a predator. So without this, he wouldn't have been caught and had to be watched for the rest of his life. So he acts like his incarceration was a waste of our money, when it wasn't. At least you have to be watched. Now, the fact that he has a smartphone now is beyond my fucking thoughts. Like, I mean, obviously, insane. I would imagine he has a monitoring app on there that he has to pay for, but maybe not. Who knows if he's sneaking.
But that stuff. If the reports are to be believed, like, that doesn't matter. That checks porn websites and illegal websites and Tor, the dark net. I'm sure he can't access that, but that doesn't matter because any child wearing anything is porn to him. The Little House on the Prairie girl is porn to him.
The
So it doesn't matter.
9-year-old girl singing the national anthem is porn to him.
Yeah.
The girls he went to high school or middle school with and high school with are porn to him.
Right, yeah.
So
Bullshit explanation.
I mean, he in that he brings up. Now, I don't mean to get off track, but we're kind of on the subject. He brings up he was looking at medical pictures of vaginas and things like underage girls' vaginas and stuff like that. At least that's how it was written, like how it was suggestive in that report that he was looking at like medical pictures. And
That's scary because I don't know what's the difference other than the fact that he knows it's children. So it's not like, he'll take any comers, which is what I think Lorne is. He's, who's ever vulnerable and I could try and take advantage of.
No, right.
But that suggests like a serious inclination towards children that goes beyond, anything physical. It's just like innate. Because there's no difference in the anatomical structure if that's what's getting him off. I don't know. It's really fucked up at that point.
Right. And that's only a few things that I could think of off the top of my head. I wrote the figures down that they figured. I wrote the figures down that they figured it was costing for. That they figured it was costing me? Why wouldn't you say? I wrote the figures down that I figured it was costing for just me alone to keep incarcerated. Why would they figure? He's so dumb. Compared to other forms of punishment. So Lorne thinks that, you be on house arrest or something? Now before this, I have always kept a clean record. Okay, everybody, this is a good part. Now, before this, I have always kept a clean record, with the exception of a DUI that I received 2 years before this. The legal limit was .08, and my blood level was .09878. First off, 87 in that blood alcohol level, but also that's a shit ton. Your blood alcohol level was .0987. Like,
and also it doesn't matter. It's like I stole $1 from the store. You still stole money. It doesn't matter if it was barely over the legal limit of stealing. You still stole.
That's not barely over, by the way. Like
also he was involved with
crashing into a house.
Person that Betty, yeah, that too, and Betty contacting somebody to get her money back, and if they had the funds at the time, they would have tried to sue him and he'd be still engaged in that process. So to say, the only bad thing I've ever done is the bad thing that I did. Oh, and the other thing, but I'm not going to acknowledge that. Oh, and a bunch of other stuff, engaging in other go ahead, you talk.
No, you're right, but it's just he in his brain, because if you were to look at like a number like .08 and .09, at least to us conceptually, I guess I should say, isn't a big number, like a difference between those two things. Like if we were to say, you can have .08 of an apple or .09 of an apple, that's not a lot. But when it comes to your blood alcohol level, it's way different. It's a way different scale.
It's the percentage of blood that is alcohol. It's any percentage is high. .08 is high.
And this is if he is to be believed, he says that he hadn't been drinking for hours before this because he had fallen asleep. So you were so drunk at one point that hours afterwards you were still this drunk, and. I wrote. He didn't crash because he was drunk. Everybody, he crashed because he passed out. He fell asleep. Okay, he didn't fall asleep because he was drunk. He just fell asleep because he was tired. Like it's amazing the excuses his brain can come up with to not find himself at fault.
It's more amazing that like years will pass and he won't bother to come up with a better excuse. Like. Well, dude, you got plenty of time. You're not doing anything all day. Come up with a better fucking excuse.
What's funny is when you listen to if you listen to the Codfish in order, he says his original excuse, but as it goes on, he is especially when it comes to Debbie. Debbie does force him to look at things more and more and more. Like you look at the I am a predator calls where he does admit those things. Now he immediately goes back on them because he just can't accept who he is. So he has to curl up in an offensive ball. But my point in saying this is that he eventually will change his excuse because the person isn't buying it. But it's funny when he does get a new catfish, he immediately goes back to that first excuse because he thinks he has a clean slate. So he does this shit where he doesn't think they know this about him, so he can go back to his old bullshit. Like when he does that whole shit about Paula. He told Debbie at one point he never had sex with Paula. Now, because he thinks he has a clean slate with a new catfish, he had sex with Paula. So it is funny to see how immediately he goes back and lies.
And the craziest part is it's Casey every other time.
It is. That oh shit. That is funny, yes. It is usually her. All right. I was barely over the legal limit, and the drug I had been using was Bud Light beer, a very legal drug, not to drive with. It's sad to think that I have always believed in the American justice system. Girls Online. Thank you, Cybersqueak. I've always believed in the American justice system until now. I agree very much with the actual purpose of the show when they're out catching actual predators. Unfortunately, they prove that their intentions are out to catch anyone that they can so that they can make a show. You are an actual predator, Lorne. How do you not see that you had already groomed at least one child in your life? You also had your nieces that you had sexual thoughts towards. I mean, everything you say about them, about the short shorts, about the new call that Heelborn released where you're talking about, oh, I can't wait to get you here and brush your fucking hair, Jamie. Like, he's implying that it's sort of an erotic thing. And then he's like, oh, I want to brush you. I've always brushed my girlfriend's hair. I brushed my niece's hair. Like, he's thinking in this erotic way and then immediately brings up his nieces. So it's funny how he thinks that this is the first time that he does it, because he doesn't think he groomed Molly, because his mindset is that he's a teenage boy, like that, because he's never advanced towards that. So
yeah, and I also think he exists in a vacuum. Like whatever conversation he's in the middle of at that moment, that's his reality. He can like construct a new personality. So I think when he's writing this, he actually believes this.
Oh,
and then time. if he were to go to counseling, he would believe something else. Yeah, I guess I do have a pattern of doing that. And then immediately after walking out of the door, out of his brain,
resets. It's like those shake tablets where you write with a little magnet and you shake them. That's Lorne's brain.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they prove that their intentions are out to catch anyone they can so that they can make a show. Let me explain more on what I mean about that. I moved from the Northeast to Tennessee to make a new start and to try to make it in country music. I had gone through some things in my home state that made me want to go where I didn't know anyone and just start over fresh. You didn't want to know anybody because you were a fugitive from the law, essentially. You had just stolen $30,000.
Yeah, the things that you went through were stealing money from someone. Fucking.
Obviously, the things that I had gone through was nothing illegal. It was all personal things. I had decided to do something that nobody in their right mind would ever do. I sold my house that I had already had $50,000 into for $8,000 back to the people I was buying it from and moved to Tennessee. In another call, he says $60,000, so he's just making up figures at this point. I had gotten myself set up with a good job in an apartment and had been there for 7 weeks. Obviously, what was that?
He didn't have a good job.
No,
he was
he had like
benefit concert tickets and he was driving a lull. Yeah, you had not gotten yourself set up. You didn't have any furniture. It was like getting yourself set up.
He didn't really get a good job until he got arrested. Like that construction job, I'm sure was a good job. But he didn't have a good job until like 3 days before he got arrested. So he's making it sound like he got that lull job 7 weeks before he got arrested. Obviously, I still hadn't got my mind straight right from the things I had gone through in my home state and still couldn't think quite straight. You just repeated yourself. Like, this sentence is nonsense. However, I was talking in a chat room one day and came across a 13-year-old girl. I had told her to never give her address, phone number, real name, or school she went to anyone from the internet. So really, it's her fault that she gave those to me because I told her not to.
And that's verbatim. What he says in the chat.
It is that he remembers.
So he remembers the chat pretty damn well.
When it's things that vindicate him. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, KC3 just dropped and we're streaming. God fucking damn it. Fuck. I don't want to watch that so bad.
Me too.
I was trying to protect her from the sick people on the internet. These people from Perverted Justice were really the people I was talking to, but I didn't know it at the time. I had no intentions of ever being anything to this girl except for someone who warned her about the dangers of the internet. And then to leave her alone. Perverted Justice kept talking and found that I was vulnerable because of things I had been going through, so they played on that and got me to talk sexual to the girl, and to talk me into coming to Bowling Green, Kentucky, to her house after I had told them no several times. Again, just listen to the call. Let's find out where Lorne says no, and you will find that he does not say no. Perverted Justice has used guilt trips and anything else they could to get me to finally come to this house in Bowling Green, Kentucky. They had even sent me 11 or 12 pictures that weren't even of the same girl. I couldn't see it at the time, even though it was very plain to see that the pictures were of different girls. The only thing that I was able to see was that someone was giving me attention, and that had to do with me. It could have been an 80-year-old lady, and I would have reacted the same way. As sad as that may sound, why would it be sad to love an 80-year-old woman, Lorne? They deserve respect. They deserve love too, Lorne.
Yeah. Asshole. Ageist asshole.
Ageist asshole. As sad as that may sound, it's even more sad to know that I was that far out of it. I always wondered how it could be that a person could get so far gone in the head that it would make him do something stupid. Yeah, grooming a girl for a month is something stupid, Lorne. Now that I've been there, I can see how it's possible. Another guy that caught up in the same thing was going through marital problems and was separated because his wife had cheated on him after 6 months of being married. He had told Perverted Justice no several times too, but they kept on him until he gave in. Chris Hansen says that they simply afford people the opportunity. Correct. You are correct, Lorne. That's nothing but a load of cow manure coming from a mouth that gets paid to lie. What they do is they find people that are vulnerable and talk them into committing a crime so that they can make a television show and bring in a paycheck. I have received 60 months from the feds for a sentence at 85% and 7 years from the state of Kentucky for a sentence at 20%. I now have to register as a sex offender for life with the feds and be on supervised release for at least 2 years after my 60 months of incarceration. And for the state, I have to register as a sex offender for 20 years after my release and be on probation for 5 years. So this was his sentence, and he fucked it up so bad that they had to then give him lifetime supervision. Like, you were given an out, Lorne. Yes, you had to register, but you didn't have to, apparently, like, if this is to be believed, he wasn't supposed to be on probation for life, but he's so bad at being on probation, they had to be like, look, we got to watch you for the rest of your life, dude.
Yeah, imagine if he had, like, just done normal shit after getting out.
Passed the class.
He'd be completely forgotten about. Yeah,
right.
5 years. That would have been 2017, right?
Correct.
So,
yeah, he got out in 2012.
Dude. It would all be behind him.
Right. We wouldn't be on stream right now. Nothing. You know,
yeah.
It's just that he is just incapable of change. So, as far as me getting 60 months from the feds, that's nothing but a crock of crap, too. I should have gotten a sentence of 46
These
months.
are legal terms, everyone.
Yes,
crock of crap. The other one that he said earlier, he's, you know, if you don't recognize them, he picked them up in some lawyering books.
Yes. That's what you yell at the jury after the opposing attorney says something correct, but you want to make it sound like it's incorrect. That's a crock of crap. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a crock of crap.
With a crock of crap.
I should have gotten a sentence of 46 months because it was at the low end of my guideline range. 57 months was at the high end. I had a digital camera in the glove box. Okay, Lorne just ended that thought and went on to another one. I had a digital camera in the glove box of my truck. That also had the disc to go with it to download the camera hardware on computers, and the cord that plugged in from the camera to the computer for when you were transferring from the computer. Oh my fucking god. Let me read that again. That also had the disc to go with it to download the camera hardware on computers, and then this is the funny part, and the cord that plugged in from the camera to the computer for when you were transferring the camera to the computer. Again, repeating himself.
Thank you.
The reason
Lorne's
the camera
tech skills coming through.
Yeah. It is weird how Lorne can somehow like he figured out how to wipe an archive and stuff. So when it's it helps him groom a child, he can figure it out. But
Molly taught him that, I believe. I believe Molly was like, "Are you deleting your archives?" And he's like, "What's that?" And she walked him through it, and it took like 10 hours on cam. And then he knew. Then he got the information.
Did I say something wrong, Chupa Grandson? Chupa Grandson says, "Do you think he'd go back?" Oh, you think he? Sorry, I thought you meant you think he should. No, you think he'd go back to preying on girls online immediately. If he was off of probation right now, it's the first thing he would do. Would download something and talk to girls.
The irony is that if he had followed through with his probation, got off in 5 years, passed his class, he'd be back in jail for life right now for doing the exact same thing.
Oh, yes.
So it's almost good that he didn't, because he still has like some amount of freedom.
Yeah, he only has to go back to prison every 5 years for 6 months, basically, for the rest of his life.
Right.
I can't wait for him to get arrested again. There's no way he won't ever get arrested again on a probation violation. I mean, how he wasn't arrested after that fucking that psych eval, I will never know, but... The reason the camera was in my truck was because I had tried to pawn it a few days before. I just never took it out of my truck when I returned from the pawn shop, rejecting pawning it. So, real quick, in the calls where he reads his chat log with Debbie and Emma, he finally has the breakthrough that he did say in the chat he wanted to take pictures. So it took nearly 12 years for him to understand why he got that charge, because finally he had to read it in his own goddamn words in that chat log saying, "I want to take a picture of my penis in your vagina. I want to take pictures of you naked." Until that moment, he thought this bullshit, like, he just was pawning it off. No, Lorne, you got it because you said explicitly that you wanted to make CSAM with her. So
thought it was a crock of crap.
He thought this was a crock of crap, and then immediately finally 12 years later had it thrown in his face, and he had no other action but to realize what he had done. And I'm sure he has gone back on it now.
I guarantee, yeah, if you asked him today, I couldn't pawn the camera, I was trying to pawn it. Guarantee it.
I'm sure it'll come up in a Casey call. I bet in one of these Casey 3 calls that he's gonna say that. The reason they wouldn't take it on pawn from me, you were gonna pawn. So there's a difference between like selling it and pawning it. So pawning it is you give it to them and you pay it back. So Lorne was gonna get a small loan of $30 for his camera and pay it back because the cover that holds the battery in place was broke. The prosecutors for the feds came up with an offer of 60 months and told me that if I didn't plead guilty and accept their plea offer, then they were going to go after me for attempted production of child pornography, which holds a 15-year sentence if I lost. Just the thought of the prosecution's accusation made me sick to my stomach. It really depressed me to think that this was the way the justice system works. So he, in America, and in the United States, excuse me. So I just can't believe he thought that they were making it up. Like,
yeah, and like I get what they're doing. Even if he didn't say anything in the chat, he looked like, let's pretend he didn't say that explicitly to a girl that he was going to take pictures of them having sex and she was a child, and he just brought the camera, they would still use that as justification. And it doesn't matter if he tried to pawn it. Like, they wouldn't try and pursue those charges. They would just try and levy those against him to take a plea deal or increase the plea deal. So, like, yeah, that's what happens. You showed up with a camera. What's your argument? That you, like, even if you tried to sell it, it doesn't matter. You still showed up with it. And you had a phone, your camera with the phone. Like, he doesn't get how this works, how this position he's in operates. He's just so woefully unprepared for how the real world works. It's astounding.
It has to work the way Lorne sees fit. He's the most important person on earth. It really depressed me. Okay, I told my federal appointed defenders investigator that the pawn shop I was in to pawn the camera had video cameras, and that could prove that I was in there in the pawn shop with the camera. The guy just shrugged it off without trying. Why would he do that when they're saying that they won't charge you with it? So they just said, hey, we're not going to charge you with it, so accept this plea. So what would be the point of going to get that camera footage? They're not charging you with that crime anyway. And also, it wouldn't change the fact that you said in the chat log you wanted to take a picture of your dick in her. God.
And you have a phone with camera-taking abilities.
Yes.
So Come on, dude. Better.
I figured with a defense team like that, I would be safer to plead guilty and take the 60 months offer rather than take my chances at losing 15 years of my life because of a poor defender I had and the disgusting accusations from the prosecution. Dude, that defender saved your balls, dude.
Yeah.
I am in no means rejecting responsibility on my part. I allowed myself to be talked into attempting to do this disgusting crime that should actually be considered entrapment. So then why those two things? It's a like, I am no means rejecting responsibility, but this was entrapment. So then what would you be expecting responsibility for if it's entrapment?
He's trying to walk like two lines. He's trying to please the people who think that, he's guilty and he should acknowledge it and feel bad for it. So I do, but really it wasn't my fault. He's, the other half.
It is kind of amazing.
Not smart enough to do it.
Hey, R.I.P. Smokey the Cat. And Vast Ravioli, Cornville Thruway is Jamaican. I don't know if you knew that. Okay.
You're making me crazy.
What I am saying is that if here we go again, MSNBC Dateline is going to do such a show as this, then they and their affiliates, Perverted Justice, need to. Why does he put Perverted Justice in quotes, but not MSNBC Dateline?
I don't know.
Sure, they're catching actual predators, not taking advantage of someone's mental or emotional state of mind and talking them into doing something they wouldn't normally do. Sply to help their ratings. I don't know what this is. SPL. Sply to help their ratings for a television show and to help put money in their pockets. If someone is an actual predator, they will be out there looking for it. They won't have to be talked into doing this crime.
Weren't.
What's even worse is that the United States government would allow a major television network to do such a thing and to not have rules and regulations set up for such a thing. I like seeing justice done too, but I like seeing honest justice, not paycheck and ratings justice.
Classic. Paycheck and ratings justice.
What a way to end that chapter.
I don't like that either.
He really...
Yeah.
That'll go down, with, 7 years ago, all those classic lines in American history.
Yeah, I like when he thinks he's saying something profound and it's just, complete garbage. But, all right, I'll take over.
Yes.
From here. October 4th, 2011. When was the last one?
So this would be a big time jump. So he had just gotten his sentence. So at most, I think it would be like a year maybe. So this is 4 years after he got arrested. So he's well within his he only has a year left of prison at this time. So we're coming down the home stretch.
Wow, that was that's several years. Dang.
Yeah, we're looking.
We jumped
because a lot of it said like day 246 or something. So he was only it was like 8 or 9 months. So he stopped because he just got sentenced. So he was being moved to that new camp. So he didn't continue a journal until way later on. So and if he did, it's been lost or wasn't sent. So this is at least 3 years later.
Wow. Okay. Oof. Quite a time jump. This is like Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
5 years later.
It's like it pops up 3 years later. It's just like holy shit.
My time has gotten straightened out to a point. It is no longer 10/14/2015. It's now 10/17/2012, which is still not right. I like how he just launches into this without explaining anything.
Right,
I assume he means like his extraction date.
Right.
Which is still not right because that means they're making me serve 100% of the 60-month sentence when I'm only supposed to be serving 85% of the 60-month sentence. What's happened is they don't want to give me credit for the time I was in jail. They're saying that I was in Kentucky state custody at that time, and my federal time didn't start until my federal sentencing.
I mean, that makes total sense. You were in a state prison, you weren't in federal prison, so I mean, it logically makes sense to me that you don't have any credit for federal time until you get into a federal custody. So
it should count against his state time, if anything. And if the judge is like, fuck you, then I guess not, Lorne.
I guess not, Lorne.
You don't have any cards to play here. You played your cards. They're trash. Anyone can do anything that they want to you, you idiot. Yet they say that my state and federal sentences are to run concurrent. To me, concurrent means together from the start, not together, but starting 9 months later. Then it just means back to back.
Imagine that's in the dictionary. Concurrent means not together, but starting 9 months later. What a stupid thing to say.
Then my federal investigator that works for my federal lawyer had the nerve to tell me that they got that fixed for me, and they didn't even have to do that, and that was the quote unquote final bottom line date that they could get my sentencing fixed to. Well, I've done some talking to a couple other inmates, and that have gone through this same thing, and they say they've gotten their jail credit for their federal sentence, even though they were in state custody at the time. They just had to fight to get it. Now, each individual situation is different. You're not going to get the same thing as everyone else, and if they had to fight to get it, then I guess so do you.
Right.
And still, maybe you won't get it. I don't know what he's bitching about.
I know.
So I have a legal aid working on that for me. I also have the same legal aid working on my response to NBC's answer to my complaint.
So he had already filed his lawsuit at this point.
Yeah. I wonder how NBC's going to respond. We put in for a 30-day extension to respond to it, also so that I had time to give a good response to their answer, even though their answer was pretty weak.
Well,
they were stuck on libel and... Go ahead.
What I like is that all these people are working for him for free because he has a right to an attorney, and he's just shitting on them. Like, I'm having these people do all these things for me, but they're so stupid. Like, he's not paying them to do this.
Yeah, you're really, really lucky that you're in the United States, dude. Because in other countries, you just get straight up murdered. You'd be in jail for life. You'd get killed in jail. Just no appreciation.
I know.
They were stuck on libel and slander, even thought the court already dismissed any claim of libel and slander. And they never denied anything that I wrote in my claims. Also, to your point, it just struck me. Like, NBC, billion-dollar company, team of lawyers versus, one lawyer working on one person, their case for free, is going to undo NBC and their entire legal system. Mm-hmm. Like, have some objectivity.
I mean, God bless public defenders. I mean, they are overworked and underpaid, and the fact that this piece of shit is just shitting on them for basically doing what he says and helping him filing these motions and shit is a waste of their time.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. He doesn't appreciate anything that he gets.
He does not.
I wrote in my claims so that just goes to show that they know they've done wrong. What? As far as how I'm doing here at Fort Dix, New Jersey, Fort Dix, Judge Woodcock, this guy just had a really rough time with the dick names. I'd say I'm starting to do better. I've gotten a lot of customers for my laundry business, so I can make some halfway decent money, and I'm also ironing uniforms to make extra money, plus typing for people to make extra money. What is he talking about here?
I guess
you had jobs in prison?
I know that there is jobs in prisons that you get paid like 3 cents an hour to do or something. Like you can be the commissary worker, you can work in the kitchen. So like there are states that they don't have to pay prisoners for their work, but some you do. So I think what Lorne is saying is that like he will iron. But what's weird is like he says that his business, like he set up a business in prison, like whereas to me it just sounds like he was assigned to the laundry mat in the prison.
Yeah, like when I think you start a business in prison, it's like you're sneaking in drugs or cigarettes or alcohol, like something illicit that you're not supposed to have in.
No,
prison.
he's just ironing uniforms. It's his business in prison.
It's business, right? That is all to go with the approximate $20 per month. Okay. 12 cents per hour, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week that I make from the prison. So I can let my mother know, finally, that I don't need her to send me any money anymore. You didn't need to at any point in time. You were using money from her. And now... I hope that makes her feel as good as it makes me feel. Yeah, she's over the moon, Lorne. If I win my lawsuit against NBC, I'll be taking care of her financially for the rest of her life, and that will make me feel happier than anything. Well, I hope that goes well, Lorne. I hope you later don't borrow her car and $5,000 that she can't afford to give you and steal $5,000 of inheritance from her. I hope none of that happens. That'd be really shitty of you to do, Lorne.
Right.
All right. Uh, May 4th, 2012. Well, I called my mom 2 days ago, so I'm just now getting to write the update. She told me that the lady called to come inspect the house I'll be living at. My mother called her when I was supposed to be getting out, and the lady told my mother I was to get out in May. That came as a shock when my mother told me that. When my mother told me that, I figured I'd know before anyone else when I would be getting out. So obviously, so he found out from his mom. You know, it was in some of his legal paperwork. You know,
He
his
just didn't
lawyers
read.
and yeah, he just didn't pay attention. He's like, well, why ain't I getting out earlier? So obviously, the court ordered BOP to release me. I'm getting out finally on May 4th. They'll be putting a monitor bracelet on my ankle from what I'm understanding because I'm actually in their custody. From what I'm figuring until May 6th, so for 2 days. And I guess they also need to make sure that I go to the state I say I'm going
Okay,
to.
yeah, because that makes
Don't
sense
take
because
off somewhere else.
he served his prison sentence in New
Mm-hmm.
Jersey, so I guess there's like a like a time frame, like 2 days, to make sure he gets to Maine where he's going. So it makes sense that he
Yeah.
would have a bracelet on because they have to track to make sure he gets there, and like so that
Right.
that's where he's going to serve his probation.
I'm guessing they'll be taking the bracelet off me on the 6th, since that's when she told my mother I am to report into her. I'm a little nervous about going home and how things will be so different for me and things I need to do. I'll be doing another lawsuit on BOP for keeping me incarcerated 80 days past my release date. I was looking it up on the Triller's website today, and it's right in the constitutional amendments under Amendment 14 due process. Well, that makes another lawsuit I'll be doing. I wonder how many he's won.
It's like
He's over like 5 at this point.
there's a drunk call where he's arguing against Winnie or somebody, and he's just like talking about the people online. And he goes, "Can I sue him? Yeah, I can." Like, like just the way he says it, he's hammered drunk, and it's like you can't technically
Right,
sue
I
them, but you're
remember.
not gonna win.
Yeah. Oh boy, I imagine like a chalkboard with Lorne Armstrong, and then on the other side all comers, and the all comers side is a bunch of like check marks on it, and there's none on the Lorne Armstrong side. You just can't get a win against anyone.
No.
Uh, People may end up thinking I'm Sue happy. We do, but I'm not. You are. I'm just pissed off about the whole rack of bullshit. Another legal term, rack
Yes.
of bullshit. And I want those. And I want those that like to do a person wrong to pay. And like it says in the US Constitution, to keep blood from being spilled, the debt will be paid in money. And boy, are they going to pay when I'm finished. I'm going after everyone that tried so hard to ruin my life. This is like you know what this reminds me of? It's like a MySpace page, or for me like Facebook page of like a middle schooler. Like, boys, everyone gonna be mad when I show them what I've become, and I'm gonna do the great thing. No, you're not, Lorne. Sit down.
Lorne, if
Anyway,
on if you know if he was a kid during this and he had a MySpace, he definitely his MySpace profile song would be "Wake Me Up When September Ends." Like he'd be real moody about it.
oh yeah. He'd be, what was Green Day chick? Wasn't that
Oh yeah.
a username?
The Great Babsby.
Anyway.
He hasn't gotten his 40 million yet, but he's about to sue a couple other people, so he might. We haven't gotten there yet.
Well, screw the 40 million. He's about to become a famous country music star. So he'll have, Babsby, don't you worry. He'll have plenty of money to send him along. Anyway, I'll be ending this book soon, obviously. May 6th will be my last entry. I don't know if I write another book or not. It's a possibility. He's just like speculating wildly. I don't know if I'll live
For
to
all
see
his
next week.
fans.
It's a possibility.
For all his
Right.
fans, he's giving him a little teaser.
I'm not telling anyone here that I'm leaving. They don't need to know. I told 3 people, and that's all. I'm not telling anyone here I'm leaving. I told 3 people, that's all.
Right.
Screw the rest of them.
And I'm sure that that's like a thing where if he said because I know in like prison, like when somebody leaves, people come and immediately like want your stuff. So I'm sure Lorne is afraid that people are gonna like come and take his bed for the last 3 days, or like take all of his food that he has, take his toilet paper he stole.
He knows just how bad it is to not have a bed from his time in Kentucky. I can't stand most of the freaks here anyway. Some are alright, but most are a bunch of ignorant followers that can't decide for themselves. See, this is like a conformist teenager,
Yes,
Most of them are conformists.
He's the South Park characters. Yeah, he's the emos in South Park.
Yeah. They need some other person to tell them how to act, what to do, and who to talk to. So this is him. He doesn't have any friends in prison, and he's looking at the other people who are like, getting along with other people in prison enviously.
Right.
And, they're all followers, man. They don't know how to act. They need someone else to tell them, I'm an independent thinker. Lorne.
That's why nobody gets me. If he had long hair, he'd flip it to the side at that point.
Isn't there an edit of him with like the classic, emo?
Oh, I'm
black
sure.
hair?
There's an edit of everything you can find.
Yeah. Then they think to themselves, tough because they're protected. Or then they think themselves tough because they're protected.
Is he talking about Nazis? Is he talking about like neo-Nazis and like gangs?
I think I have no idea what he's talking about. Like followers in prison. I think he's talking like, yeah, gangs. I would. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like he's talking about gangs.
Then they think themselves tough because they're protected. Having protection in here doesn't help them at all on the street, so they really should learn to keep their mouth shut more often. Anyway, I put myself on a diet last week. I love his segues, so good. And started walking a lot again. See, if I can lose these 5 pounds I've gained since I've been typing... What?
What?
See if I can lose these 5 pounds I've gained since I've been typing a lot. It feels good to go walking a lot again. It will feel a lot better to be home, though. And if anyone in the chat can explain, see if I can lose these 5 pounds I've gained since I've been typing a lot. If anyone can explain that, please do.
I guess what he's saying is that he's just been sitting in his cell typing for like weeks and he hasn't gone and exercised. So he's trying to say like... He's saying it wrong. Like, he's very poor at describing things, but I think he's saying, like, he's trying to say that he's just been sitting down, nonstop and, like, eating and just typing.
Okay. Sitting on his ass in his chair.
Sitting on his ass in his chair.
I need to sit in front of a campfire and do some burning of the conversation I had, so maybe it will, in some way, help my healing process and help me to find myself again after going through this nightmare.
What?
That started very...
Dark.
Like, he's gonna burn his stuff, it's gonna be cleansing, but yeah, it's very ominous. I need to sit in front of a campfire and do some burning. Ooh, yeah. I don't like how that sounds.
Alright, so it says... Okay, so this is from July 8th, 2012, so he should hopefully be out at this point. So he said he wasn't going to do any more writing after 2 days, but it's been 3 months or so, and he's still writing in the book. On May 16th, 2012, this is the letter I received from the Kentucky Department of Public Advocacy. May have to write a short summary of the letter. Okay, you just said this is the letter and then say may have to write a short summary of the letter. After reading this letter, I knew already that I would have to do my own case in the Court of Appeals on my own. I was hoping it would take a little longer than it did for them to answer it, but oh well. If I lose at the appellate level, though, I'll take it to the next level. Hopefully by then, I will have won my lawsuit and have the money to pay for a decent lawyer to get this shit gone from my life. It's sad that the justice system is run by how much money a person has versus honesty and the Constitution. It's like after you show them what it says in plain English in the Constitution, they say, oh, it does say that in the Constitution, and you're right, but you don't have enough money to pay me to admit that you're right, so I'm going to deny you your freedom for years upon years of your life. That should teach you to be right and to help us make more money from the taxpayers. Worthless and corrupt system. I still haven't heard anything from my jail credit yet, but I expect it to be about another month anyway. Honestly, I think it would hurt me more if I were to be immediately released. Wait, so he hasn't been released? I'm so confused, because he just said he was being released in May.
I think he means the money should be released. Like, he still has money on his commissary, and he wants that back.
No, because he says,
'Cause
honestly,
he's waiting for mail.
I think it would hurt me more if I were to be immediately released this week because of the mailing I'm waiting for. So he's still in prison because he's waiting for mail. The end of this week would be great, but I don't really expect it for another month anyway. So as far as what I've been doing to pass my time here, I've been typing legal work for the same guy only. What? I'm not spending as much of my time at the law library. For the last 1.5 months, I've been going to the gym every day because I'm trying to get my six-pack abs back before I go home. Right now, I have
Wait. In a Debbie call, he says, I didn't even have six packs when I was 18 and hauling logs or some shit. So, and in case anyone, obviously this is a lie, but in case anyone thinks, maybe he was going to get his six-pack back. Nope.
Well, he wasn't getting his six-pack back, but right now he does have a 4-pack, so.
That's bullshit too.
So I have two more to get. Right now, I have 2 more to get, but he spells it T-O instead of T-W-O. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm working hard enough as it is, so there's a chance. I'll be able to do it. Unless I leave this week to go home. Even if I don't get my jail credit that I should get, I only have another 120 days left. But I still want my jail credit. It's time I already served, and they need to pay for keeping me incarcerated longer than what I am supposed to be. I'm mad as hell about it, and I'm sure anyone in my shoes would be. I'll keep going, even though it's the next day. I figured it was about time for an update, so here I am. Today is supposed to be 13 degrees. Today is supposed to be 97 degrees with a heat index of 105. So it's going to be a hot one. As of right now, if I have to stay until my POB out date, then I only have 102 days left. My motion has been on the judge's desk for 5.5 weeks now, and almost every motion I've ever put into the court has taken 2 months. So I'm figuring I have another 2 weeks left. That's just by my guess, though. It could be less or it could be more, or I may have to wait until the whole 120 days before I can get out of this piss hole. Another legal term, as we've discussed earlier. Either way, I don't have much longer here. My BP-11 that I sent in a long time ago still hasn't come back yet. It's the last part of the administrative remedy that I would have had to do before sending it into the court about my jail credit. They were originally supposed to have it back to me on June 16th, but then wanted an extension until June 7th, and now here it is on July 26th, and I still have not gotten a reply back from them about my 259 days of jail credit. Thank God I didn't have to send my motion for jail credit into the court. The BOP does this extension bid on purpose to keep delaying a person getting out of their custody. It's just another corrupt act by the government to make more money off a person being incarcerated.
I thought they were losing money on people being incarcerated.
Yeah, which is
that was your whole point about the taxpayer. Like, yeah, pick a lane.
And also, he spelled incarcerated, I think, 3 different ways in this journal. Everything else is going all right, with the exception of this one guy in the room I've been in since I've been here. His name is Jake, and his bed is directly across from where I sleep and have my locker. Every morning, he rushes to eat breakfast and rushes to get back, take a shit, and then lay down before he goes to work. I never gave it a whole lot of thought before until I started noticing how he constantly picks at things on other guys' body. But after noticing that, I started paying more attention to the way he hurries to get back from breakfast to take a shit and be in place on his bed before I get back from eating to change out of my shorts and t-shirts and into my uniform. I think he's trying to say that he wants to be in bed to watch Lorne get undressed, is what he's getting at. Again, with the gay shit. The last few days I paid it. How many times is he going to say he paid attention? The last few days I paid attention to that. And this morning when I got up, he was still asleep, like he is every morning when I get up, because I get up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock. But this morning after came back from taking my shower, I directly put on my uniform pants on and a t-shirt so he couldn't check me out anymore. I'm happy now that I solved that problem. Some people are really pathetic and disgusting. So yeah, so he's figured it out because another guy was touching another guy that he's gay. And he always rushed back because he wanted to make sure he saw Lorne's hot body get undressed.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to like lay down before work. Maybe he wanted to take a shit without everybody else in the room.
Right,
like,
that
there's
is
a lot
also
of other
something.
things.
No, it
Yeah.
has to be that Lorne is so attractive that other guys want to fuck him and look at him naked. So, again, it's just all this is just all the repressed gay thoughts Lorne has.
Yeah.
I just wrote an entry yesterday, but something happened last night, or this morning rather, that I just had to tell about. One of that scrawny white guys that thinks he's all Mr. Badass was evidently drinking hooch last night and was drunk. He came back to the floor he resides on to get into bed before count, but didn't realize they were already doing the 3 a.m. count. He was in front of the door to my room when he saw they were counting, and one of the guards come out of my room from just counting it. The second guard hadn't counted in my room yet. The scrawny white guy resides in the room next to me. The guard asked him where he thought he was going, and he told him to get in bed. He walked into my room where there were already 12 guys in it. Went to get into what he thought was his bed and saw there was someone in the bed. Then he looked around and realized he was in the wrong room. He walked back out of my room, and both guards were waiting there for him because the one that had already counted already told the other guard that there were already 12 guys in that room. When he walked out, they told him to put his hands behind his back, handcuffed him, then searched him and found a cell phone in his pocket. That was all it took for them to take him to the hole. This scrawny white guy is one of the ones that decided to play tough guy when I was having some issues about 6 or 8 months back and ran his mouth a bit. He hasn't dared say a word to me since that time, and we just completely avoid each other if possible. But what happened? Why wouldn't he... Are you going to tell us? Like, what happened?
I'm picturing John Dupé in my head right
That
now.
is...
I don't know
know,
why.
yes. Avoid each other. Most of the time, when we pass each other in the hall, we'll just stare at each other. He knows I won't do anything while I'm here to hurt him, so he feels safe enough to try to act tough. I had all I could do to contain my laughter when I watched his whole episode unfold in front of me at 3 a.m. Boy, did I ever get a kick out of that. That will help teach the piece of shit for running his mouth and thinking he's more important than what he really is, the little twerp. So he's saying that this is karma for messing with Lorne. The universe has now fucked that guy over
Right.
for fucking with Lorne.
Wasn't the implication that Lorne beat this guy up? Wasn't that karma?
Right. He
What's he
implied
lying
that.
about?
Right. It's
Yeah.
like, which is it? You want to take over?
Yeah. I figured that right now is a good time to do another entry for the book. I have 11 days, 11 in both numerical written and written out days, and a wake up left before I can go home. It's been a long road, but it's almost done. If I can keep my cool and my sanity for the next 11 days, which seems like forever still, it's supposed to be 11 days, then I will finally be able to get out of this festering piss hole and go home and try to get my life back together. Perverted Justice and NBC have published their website all over again on June 4th, 2012. So I did my lawsuit up, a whole new one, separate from the one that's going into appeal, which I'll discuss after I tell about this new one, for their illegalities that they are still doing by having the website up and running and slandering my name, along with many other people that are actually innocent. It's funny, I bet, all the guys who got arrested in this sting, hey, we're all innocent. All of us. None of us wanted to do this. I just have a strange feeling.
It is nice that he's standing up for his other sex offender brethren. Like,
Yeah, we're in this together,
we're in
boys.
this together.
I also sent a letter to the federal prosecutor with a list of illegal acts that were performed by NBC and PJ. Oh, so he's
finally
gotten to
shortening
shortening it.
abbreviated them.
Yeah, that's right. By doing the show, he lost weight, and his spelling of these things lost weight,
Yes.
so it's consistent. By doing the show and Sting that nobody paid any attention to because it was such a big-name television company and people were overexcited about being on a television show. Plus, about what kind of name it would give to their town. Plus, it was election time. All right, so a pretty big sentence there. Plus, and also another thing, funny what money and recognition will do to a person. It's all the talk of the wallet. Okay. Well, I've made a decision. Maybe that's like a southern
It's like
idiom that I'm not familiar with.
it's like
But
that's like David Attenborough would say about like Birds of Paradise in a nature documentary. It's like it's the act of the wallet. Like they're
Right.
dancing.
Yeah. Well, I've made a decision to try to change that, or at least put my best effort in, because I've seen too much of the disgusting way politicians are and the corrupt ways of the so-called authorities these days. I'm going to take some college courses in law and become a paralegal. I'll finish the sentence to address this. And see what I can do about starting a pro SE business to help people that have been unjustly duped by the public defender system. Okay, I'm going to start taking some college courses. How? How are you going to afford this, Lorne? And you've just been in jail for years, where you've had a perfect opportunity to study the law, which apparently you were doing, and you've gained no greater grasp on it than when you entered. You're going to become a paralegal. Dude, I'm not a smart guy either. You do not have the intelligence to be a paralegal and help people who have been unjustly duped by the public defender system. Who are you to determine this? If anyone comes to you for help, are you going to search through their information and then you decide whether or not it's just, because you didn't even search through your own information to get an accurate assessment of your trial and prosecution? So just every problem in the book with that sentence. It's terrible how it's said that a person is innocent until proven guilty, when it's actually the other way around. And what's even more sad is that a person gets condemned by other people when the government tags a name
Tags.
on them. Or a charge that the accused hasn't had a chance to clear his name before being tilted. Is tilting another legal term? Anyway, full sentence, anyway. I'll be ending this book soon, and am going to start another when I get home. Oh yeah! Is it the Kool-Aid Man? Oh yeah!
Oh yeah.
About my lawsuit appeal. The judge dismissed my lawsuit on the basis of other guys' lawsuit when NBC put in a motion of notice of supplemental authority. Now my first lawsuit is in appeal, and I've started up a new one also. I have no idea what's going on with him in these lawsuits. It's just
At one point he blames Mike Patterson, because he's like, I helped him
right.
first and I put his in, and then they rejected mine because his was in and I did all the work. Like
Yeah, so you're going to become a paralegal and help these people, and you already fucked over Mike Patterson and yourself. Not a great start to your legal career, Lauren. Yeah, Egbert, hit me up. I'll keep going. Well, 3
real
days
quick,
and-
Advent Seth. Well, I am reading this WB/H, and Ilrieg FBI is the effeminate guy reading with me. Burn! You just got burned.
Oh God! Jeez, that hurt. Don't burn me like that again.
And we're
Well, 3
reading the
days
gay
and a week
memoirs of a guy in prison for 5 years.
Right. The scatological and homosexual memoirs. Can I do an impression of Lorne as a paralegal? I'm gonna sue you, Lorne. Oh boy, could you imagine him? Your Honor, I'd like permission to approach the stand. Denied. Sit down. What was the thing that they said to Dustin McFetridge? Or maybe it wasn't Dustin McFetridge. Was it Donald Morrison? R.I.P. Donald Morrison. Who was like, what did he say?
Well, he goes,
He's like,
can I
"Your
ask
Honor."
a question? No, you cannot.
No, sir.
No,
Yeah.
sir. It just moves
Yeah.
him along.
Yep. That would be how every judge would deal with Lorne. No, sir. Anyway. Sorry. Well, 3 days and a wake up and I'm out of this piss hole. Unless for some reason I get sent to the hole, which is something I'm doing my damnedest to prevent. I wanted to deck a guy this morning for rushing out of his room to beat me to the television this morning. I'd like to point out, He's claimed that he has beaten up a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
He's never mentioned being sent to the
To the whole,
to the hole.
having
Yeah.
time
So
added to his sentence.
I would think that would be something you'd bring up, but who knows? I'm not an author like Lorne. The guy has some issues. I usually watch the Weather Channel in the morning, in the morning after they finish the 5 a.m. head count because that's when there's nobody up yet, and I only watch it long enough so that I can see what the weather is for that day locally and across the country, and also to see a little girl sing the national anthem. This guy that literally sits in front of the television almost all day long watching CNN came out of his room this morning, practically running to get head of me.
To get
To
head
get head
of
from me.
I think that's a little Freudian slip there, Lorne. He was there to get head from you.
To get to the television before me so he could turn it on CNN. There is more than one television in the building, but they have the labels on the doors for sports one, for entertainment, and one for news. And they have a Spanish television room and another couple of TVs in the front room. This guy acts as though he owns the news television room. It's quite sad to see. Aren't you acting like you own the news television room? You're wanting to control it too. I was irritated that he did what he did this morning because he sits there all day and that's the only time I get to see the weather because I'm busy all day. He's taking his college courses, preparing for his career as a paralegal.
What do you need to know the weather for? Like, unless you have
you're in
outside
jail.
time, it's one of the last things that you have to worry about is what the weather is. Like, it's like Lorne being like, "What's the stock
So
market from
stupid.
prison?" Like what does that matter?
Oh my god. But I just cooled down, and after a few without saying anything. But I just cooled down after a few without saying anything and thought about things. I wish I would have never let that upset me because I only have a very few. Fucking hell. I only have a very few days left, and that's something that wouldn't be worth going to the hole for and having to stay in this piss hole longer because of. Yes. It's not worth it. So instead of acting like I was mad at the guy, the next time I saw him, I joked with him a little so he could see I wasn't upset. I almost think he might have a mental problem, but
So
he's
Lorne said he pussied out, is what he just said. Like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
just like, I didn't confront him. I didn't stand up for myself.
This reminds me of that Lorne tactic in a Winnie call where she's like screaming at him. He's screaming at her. Maybe it's a Debbie call. He's screaming at her. She screams back, and then he goes, "Oh, I was just joking." Like immediately when it gets real.
That has to be a Debbie call. Like, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, again, full sentence. Anyway, so
Anyway,
far I'm holding up well for my last few days here. Hopefully, I can keep myself away from ignorance for the rest of the time here. That's like only the second time. The first half is littered with ignorance. The second half, not so much. The rest of the time I'm here. There are like 2 more pages left. You want me to keep going?
just do this one, and then here. Wait, let me see. Oh no, here. I'll do the last bit.
All right.
November 2nd, 2012. Another entry the same day because I got jolted earlier with a reminder of things I'm not going to miss and will be extremely happy to get out of my life. Earlier in the room, I abided in for the... Earlier in the room, I abided in for the first time I'm here. I was having a rare discussion with... Oh my god. I don't want to read this. This seems like it's going to get a little racist.
It's dicey, yeah.
I was having a rare discussion with 2 black guys about politics and was at fault. Like, I'm scared what he's going to say because I didn't transcribe these pages because they're text. So I've never looked at these before. I was having a rare discussion with 2 black guys about politics and who was at fault for a lot of the messed up things that have happened in the last 12 to 15 years. Another black guy walked in just as I said that I wouldn't vote for Obama or for Romney. I would vote for Mickey Mouse first before either of them. This black guy
I
that
hate
walked
people
in
like
got
that.
all upset because I was talking about Obama and said that everything that happened during Obama's presidency was Bush's fault. It didn't bother. I didn't bother to get in an argument with him because he's number than a pound. Oh, he's number. Excuse me.
Number. Yeah, right.
He's number than a pounded thumb and doesn't have shit for brains. He laughs like an old lady and acts like a little kid a majority of the time. He dodges every possible kind of responsibility he acquires and has every intention of selling drugs again when he gets back on the street. Well,
That was the best character description he's ever given. That was really good. I got a really clear view of who this person is.
and it was him.
The only way we would have.
It was Lorne. That's why he could give the description well. Besides the
Right.
selling the drugs thing, it was him. And selling drugs back on the street. I thought he'd be selling, fucking little Debbie cakes on the street. I mean, we just learned the street
Right.
value of them last time.
Through the roof.
He's a typical case of a recidivist, all because of being lazy and wanting the world to take care of him so he can lay his fat ass on the couch and collect welfare and sell drugs. He's someone that will, without a doubt, be incarcerated again and again until he's an old man and possible. Man, Lorne just keeps describing himself.
Yeah.
Like, he collect welfare, he collected
Would
unemployment
he?
for a year, he sits his ass on the couch, he's been arrested again. Like so many guys that are like him, life is just a big joke. As much as I wish I could say that being incarcerated helps people to grow to be a better person, I can't. It does some people, but most of them that are in here for selling drugs or some type of similar charge will just go back to the life they led that got them in here to begin with. Wow, Lorne, you just continue like you're writing an autobiography right now, buddy.
No self-awareness.
However, a few do change and have a better life, but if they were made to go to work to learn something or made to go to school to learn more and get an education, then they would have much better. So they should be forced. That's weird. They would have much better turnout for people staying out of prison. But in order to do that, there has to be a staff that gives a shit about how people turn out in life, and that just isn't found here in Fort Dix, New Jersey. Instead, they have a
He's
staff.
really not. He's not pleased with the accommodations here in prison.
Right.
Idiot.
Instead, they have a staff of the kind that can only think about what's the best way they can get through the day without being bothered by a bunch of inmates that need help doing things to better themselves. The inmates are the people who are suffering in prison, people. Which is true, but he's trying to set up like they are the. Never mind. They should
be babysitting us and helping us. Why are we here? You're in there because you broke the law. They're not there to be your teachers. And like, yeah, it sucks when prisons are awful and there's unsanitary conditions, blah blah blah. But their point is to keep you in there for the predetermined amount of time that you are to serve. If you have a problem with why you're in there, that's a problem with the justice system, and you outlined that really poorly. If you have a problem with the accommodations in your jail, like, okay, that sucks, as long as they're not violating, your personal liberties, which aren't like, you're owed people supplying you classes to take so that you can become a paralegal. Like, you're not owed that. You're owed food and water and a clean environment.
That's it. There are few staff members here that do care, but they are a rare existence here. Oh God, Jesus Christ. Among other things that I'll be happy to get rid of is the ignorance of hearing grown men talk like infants when they say, and I'm sorry, I don't know what these word means, but I have a feeling they're bad. Giddy-gur and whizzy for the gadizzy.
Got really racist towards the end.
I know.
I don't know
It's
how I
like
feel about this.
it's all about his gay thoughts, and now he's just being racist, and all the other stupid crap they come up with that you would only ever hear from a kid in 2nd and 3rd grade, and probably not even that high of a grade. So then, why did you say that? It's quite pathetic. Then there's the punks in here that think they're tougher than God himself. I am COD. The only reason they try to act tough is because they have their backup buddies. Gangs, Lorne.
We're ending this the exact same way we began it. It's really amazing how the middle and the end, just excellent sandwich of moronity.
I like how he's dumbing down gangs as buddies. Like
Yeah.
we're in a group of buddies, like not a gang. They're backup buddies. Backup buddies. But most of the time, if they were to get in a fight with somebody, their buddies wouldn't be there to back them up. They would just stand there and watch. The problem is that their buddies egg them on to say stupid shit when they know it can get their friends' ass kicked. It takes an awful lot of willpower to not beat someone's ass when they're smaller than you, or even bigger, but especially when they're smaller, because you just can't believe that someone would or could be so stupid as to say something so ignorant to you. Amazing how ignorance takes it.
I think we've read this before.
We really have.
I remember this. I remember this exact sentence. This is like the last episode of Seinfeld where they end the show with the exact same like mundane conversation that they began the show with.
Yes.
That's this. Lorne, maybe he's actually like a secret genius.
That is, we just can't conceive of his writing abilities because they're just at another level. Seattle backup buddies. Imagine Chris Hansen
School's in session.
He brought over a CD of Seattle backup buddies. What was the DVD? Backdoor Sluts 9. Oh my god. Okay.
Oh my god.
The amazing thing that happens when you get an ignorant acting person all alone with you. The change is completely amazing. With zero ignorance around, the person can act completely the opposite of when they're surrounded by their buddies. It's sad to see so many followers and so little amount of people that don't have enough pride in themselves to take charge of their own lives and not follow someone else's example. There's many more things that I won't miss about these pissholes, but I don't have enough time left here to list them all, so maybe I'll mention more at some other time. So he then, so that's the end. So he has graphite paint to paint your... So he attached, I don't know, this is massnews.com's American legal system is corrupted beyond recognition, judge tells Harvard Law School. So this is Lorne's supporting documents that he should not have been arrested or have been released from jail.
It's printed out article.
It's an article. Yeah, he printed out an article.
Right.
It's hard to read, but put this with my book, please. Thank you. Kentucky's prison population surges. So these are all his supporting documents that they're corrupt and they're doing it for the money. So this would have been at the end of his book, his supporting documents. So
these are his cited sources. It's all in his book. He mentioned a lot of very legal terms and specific things that pointed to his belief that he was being railroaded by the justice system, and he cited those, and these are the citations if you wanted to get the look. Or did he not do that? I don't remember what happened.
It would be funny if he did have like the little numbers above certain things he said to be like, cite this in the back of the book. And it's just one article. That's it. Like with
every book came up these crumpled, printed out news articles with the ads on the side.
You go out and buy them, and they'd have them in they'd be crumpled up in a bag attached to the book. Like,
right.
Straight flatten these out and read them as the number comes. So that is Lorne's prison journal. So again, thank you to Clobber for letting me transcribe that. And thank you to Heelborn for finding this so that I didn't have to use my own transcription. So I really much appreciate that. I think I'll probably make this available because I can't remember where I got it, if it was in somebody's description on a video or something. Maybe like a Kelp Hill or something. Somebody that I don't think is here anymore. So I might make this available so people can just read it if they want. So if I do, it'll be in the description of both the videos we did. So... outside of that, I think that cocksucker Jamaican Cornville 3-Way is going to be streaming here in like an hour, maybe. I think he's going to do it. But also, before he starts streaming, again, the third KC3 call just got uploaded. So I can't wait to listen to that because those calls have been absolutely amazing. So is there anything else that you would like to add, Monsieur?
What's with all the French talk?
I was just trying to be sophisticated.
You're not talking to that fucking Jeffrey again, are you?
And he's the one that taught me that, so yes.
He's the one that taught you that! No. Thanks for having me on. This was fun. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, thanks for having me on.
This is one of the better things to read, I thought. It's better than reading his fucking dumbass books. Like, I mean, this is one of his books.
I had a great time with that.
Oh, we all did, but, you know, I just found, like, his inner thoughts better than him trying to project it into a little weird book, like his own fucking shit, but...
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks, Eel, for joining me. Probably be back next week. I think we're going to do a COD bar on some interesting stuff, so stay tuned. I know a lot of people like the COD bar and ask me when we're going to do another one, so it should be in the next week or so. So that'll be scheduled up a few days before so people know. But anyway, thanks for coming. I hope you guys have a nice night, and bye.
Mwah.
Mwah.
I'm almost done my cigarette. I'm almost done my cigarette. I was gonna say, dude, don't lose me here.
No, I won't lose you, but I really have to get ready. I gotta take a shower.
I'm almost done my cigarette. I'm almost done my cigarette. Mwah, mwah.
I really have to get ready. I gotta take a shower.
Okay. I was on the ball all day.
The low,
The machine that I operate.
the low.
Broken shut.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. The machine that I operate.
The low.
I'm almost done my cigarette. I'm almost done my cigarette. I was gonna say, dude, don't lose me here.
No, I won't lose you, but I really have to get ready. I gotta take a shower.
I'm almost done my cigarette. I'm almost done my cigarette. Mwah, mwah.
I really have to get ready. I gotta take a shower.
Okay.
How do you pronounce your name?
Lorne. Wow.
Wow.
Hi.
Hey.
You sound so sweet. You were so sweet. Can't believe the boys are such idiots at your school.
Yeah, they're really stupid. You're not, though.
Thank you.
Kinda.
I know. I'm almost done my cigarette. I'm almost done my cigarette. I was gonna say, dude, don't lose me here.
No, I won't lose you, but I really have to get ready. I gotta take a shower.
I'm almost done my cigarette. I'm almost done my cigarette. Mwah, mwah.
I really have to get ready. I gotta take a shower.
Okay. Hear me chewing? Did you hear me chewing? Hear me chewing? Did you hear me chewing? Hear me chewing? Did you hear me chewing? Hear me chewing? Did you hear me chewing?
Yeah.
Yeah. There and back and there and back and there.